Okay, first of all, thank you all for coming. Really, really amazing to share this moment with you. And second of all, I need to take a picture for my mom, yeah? Because I was like, I'm standing here at DroidCon giving a talk, but for her, she has no idea how big this actually is. So we are just going to do it the old-fashioned way. I'm gonna count from 3 till 1, and then we're going all to say cheese to take a picture. So 3, 2, 1. Cheese! Yes, thank you guys. Okay, so today I want to take you through the evolution of quality engineering. And so common understanding is that, that quality assurance is mostly about manual testing, right? But what if I tell you that it's not where quality starts or ends? Where you have quality assurance that is mostly testing the work, you have software engineering that is implementing it. But those two can perfectly be combined together, and that is where you get the quality engineer. Oh wait, I have this clicker as well. So my name is Kylie, and I've started my tech career at justeattakeaway.com as a manual tester, and slowly I started getting interested in automation engineering, where I immediately saw the benefits of using code to automate manual work. Because what I would test in several minutes, UI test would do in seconds, right? So from there on, I've started learning how to write UI tests, maintaining the automation project within the company, slowly growing into an automation engineer. And nowadays, I'm a cross-platform quality engineer for justeattakeaway.com with a background in Android, where I'm still specialized in. So I think we are all on the same page when we are talking about striving to an end product with a high quality, right? So where quality assurance in most companies has the knowledge about how to achieve those quality gates, the quality engineer, additionally to that, also has the knowledge about how to implement those quality gates, maintain and improve them. And this additional knowledge can be a huge benefit, because now we are able to extend quality to a much deeper level, offering support in a much broader way. So quality is not only about manual and automation testing. There are many more facets that we can cover, but I can only talk from my own experience. So that is why I want to guide you through the process of how those testing tools were implemented at justeattakeaway.com. Basically creating the quality architecture that we are handling nowadays, and that I'm still working on with great passion. So manual and automation testing are two forms of testing that can be perfectly combined with each other to fasten up processes. Because manual testing should always be from additional value, instead of double testing scenarios that are already automated or testing scenarios that can easily be automated. So UI tests can be set up in a lot of different ways as well, which will all work and are all correct by the, basically, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're all as efficient. So you can set them up in a live environment, right, where they will depend on things like the API and the network. This can be convenient for some scenarios, but it can also slow them down and cause flakiness. So a way to achieve efficiency is to think of a mocked environment, because UI tests should basically like test components or certain views, which means that running all of them in a live environment isn't from any additional value. So determining if a UI test should run in a live environment or not is, for example, to check if it's a business critical scenario or not. So if it's a scenario that isn't allowed to fail, that's quite a convenient reason to put them in a live environment, right? Where all other scenarios should do fine in a mocked one. So another example is to check the purposes of the testing suites. So for example, when you're testing for a release, it can be quite convenient to have a live environment as well, where, for example, running UI tests against merge requests doesn't have that load of a live environment, so a mocked environment would do pretty well for those. So these approaches can differ for everyone, and I'm not saying that you should like take over everything that I'm going to talk about today, but I just hope that I can give you a bit of an insight on how efficiency, optimizing flows can be achieved, freeing up your time to actually focus on the important things like adding new features, but also maintain like the quality architecture within your team. So another tool that can be used next to manual and automation testing is screenshot testing, which can cover like various areas within your projects where UI tests cannot cover them. So screenshot testing involves taking a screenshot, of course, and taking a screenshot during testing and compare it with an already stored output of how it actually should be. So screenshot testing is giving like immediate feedback, right? If you are testing for the right components, because components where you need to test, for example, well, screenshot testing works particularly well with when you need to test like UI layouts, elements, you name it, but it will not work that well when you need to test detailed information about a component, as it can be quite a hassle to figure out where then the actual issue is. So screenshot testing, you also need to take into account that it always needs to rely on other forms of testing as well, such as unit tests, UI tests, integration tests, just to check the underlying performance of the code. So now we covered some tools that are basically testing the end product, but what about testing the code quality itself? What if you can prevent bugs by using a tool that is securing the code quality by running a code style analysis to secure like the code quality and the code security? A tool that is really popular for that is called SonarQube, which is also the tool that we use at juicytakeaway.com. And basically it provides like a centralized platform where you can track multiple projects at once and check their quality trends over time. This makes it easier to enforce coding standards, but also makes it easier to achieve a high level of code consistently. You're also able to set up like multiple sets of coding rules at once so that the clean code principle can be maintained during all merge requests. SonarQube also integrates pretty well with popular CI/CD tools like Jenkins, Azure DevOps, GitLab, which we are using as well. And because SonarQube can be enforced on like the automatic building processes, you can find issues early on in the process and you will prevent poor code quality coming into the code base. So I can imagine that you work in a company where you're not only supporting Android as a platform, for example, with iOS and web. SonarQube is a perfect tool for that because it will work the same for all three platforms. And the integration is quite easy as well. Once you have, for example, in my case, I've set up SonarQube my first time for web actually, and that's not within an Android project. And as soon as you know like the structure of how to implement it, the implementation will stay the same. So the setup of the script will stay the same during all the platforms. Only like the basic of the biggest change is the coding language itself. So SonarQube also provides detailed reports and metrics, which gives you like a clear overview of the quality trends, the security risk, but also the tech debt, which isn't only like valuable information for the engineers, but also for the rest of the team. Because now you're able to address like critical issues, to maintain the code quality, and like thriving for optimizing these flows within the software development cycle. So the next tool I want to talk with you about is the CI/CD approach, which is a software development approach that emphasizes the continuous and automated integration, testing, and delivery of code changes to ensure that software can be released reliable and quickly. The CI/CD approach will offer you like an environment where engineers or like the whole team is immediately updated about failing pipelines so that you can swiftly act on those, basically freeing up time for you to focus on things like adding new features, maintaining the quality architecture continuously. So you can say that handling the CI/CD approach stands for continuous improvement, and by like automating this process of the development, the testing, and the delivery of code, you will save like huge amounts of time that you can actually spend on pretty interesting other things. So A set of skills that's also part of the quality engineering is the usage of test ops. And test ops involves using like automated tools to scale up testing resources. Within justeattakeaway.com, we are using it to increase the visibility of the testing tools that we are using. So it can be from additional value for other team members to get an insight about the testing tools that you are using as well, right? Because, well, you don't have an insight on all the testing tools that you're using within a company, because keeping up with those, that will take you like a huge amount of time. So writing scripts that forward reports to the instant communication software that your company is using can help improve these scripts. So within justeattakeaway.com, we are using Slack as a main communication tool, where we already have a team that is forwarding such reports to a dedicated Slack channel, where all stakeholders are in, being able to like divide those reports through the responsible teams. And those reports are about flaky UI tests. So how this works is the script will scan through the recent Firebase results for any mention of flaky UI tests. And we use Firebase as a platform to basically show reports of the UI tests that are running in our pipelines. So what it then does, it will compile these results, and it will send it through the Slack channels. So this is set up as a set of functions in the AWS Lambda. It's also set up with a cron job to trigger like a run on a day of preference. So I can imagine that you work in a company where a lot of teams are working on the same things, right? Because it is like that within justeattakeaway.com. So that means that a lot of teams are working on the same things. So we are using these reports as a centralized way to go to get like visibility of these UI tests, making it able to prioritize working on UI test and stay ahead of the tech debt. So part of all these tools that I'm talking with you about are part of our quality architecture. And these testing, this part of the quality architecture is setting up a testing environment that is striving for efficiency, optimizing performance, and they need to be as balanced as the other requirements as well. So to set up such a testing environment, you need to have insights about your team dynamics, right? Like what kind of a management methodology is your team using? What kind of a development process is linked to that? Where are certain quality gates lacking and in which form? And in which state of the development cycle are those bugs coming in? So a worst case scenario can be that you are finding a bug in the latest stage of the development cycle. And statistics show that finding a bug this late will cost you like 6 times more than when it's found in an earlier stage. And this is exactly why it is so important to implement a quality architecture that is working for your team and goes through all the different phases of the development cycle. Within justeattakeaway.com, we are working in an agile environment, and the quality architecture or the tools that I'm talking with you about today are working that well because they cover all different phases of the development cycle. Having a testing environment set up that is working for you as well, like covering all the quality gaps, will also result in a higher confidence throughout the team, which will have its effect again on the quality of the product and the speed of delivery. So having this knowledge, in combination with a quality engineer that has the knowledge, that can take lead in maintaining this environment, knows has the possibility of informing all the different stakeholders, and is also able to learn everyone about the knowledge that they're having, is, in my opinion, a killer combination, and definitely where the future of quality engineering lies. So the world of technology is continuously changing, right? And it's happening fast. So to keep up with these changes, big companies have to stay in the game, which means that working for a tech company will change as well, and the quality isn't something that can stay behind. So for me, quality is like an umbrella, touching all different facets of the development cycle, which means that you need to know which qualities need to be checked on in which time, in which order, with all the correct actions taken from that. So it's also about communication with all the different stakeholders that are in the development phases of the development cycle, so that you can always support through all these different phases, securing like the quality within the project. Combining this knowledge with the implementation of the testing tools is where the future of quality engineering lies, right? So within these, this role was changed within just eatTakeaway.com, where we first had like the quality assurance specialist and the automation engineer, which was shifted to the quality engineer. And this took time, because the team dynamics is changing as well with that. So time that was invested in optimizing performances, optimizing certain processes, but also filling quality gaps that were still there, or quality gaps that were previously checked manually are now automated, freeing up a lot of time for me actually being able to improve the code quality and the quality architecture on a daily basis together with my colleagues. So this time was well invested, if I have to say so, and actually pretty amazing, as it has a huge major impact on the product and the quality of the product. It also has a huge positive impact on me as a quality engineer, being able to offer this deeper kind of support, but also gaining a lot more experience and a lot more technical knowledge, pretty much way more than I was learning before these changes were implemented. And also the quicker technology gets, of the more technology gets advanced, the quicker it gets advanced. And that sounds maybe like a little bit weird. But what I mean with that is, for the last couple of years, we were introduced by like a lot of different technologies that I think that a lot of us are already using on a daily basis. Like, for example, the introduction of ChatGPT or GitHub Copilot, taking development to a more advanced level, right? Which means that quality needs to step up as well. And this is why I think combining quality with engineering can make a huge difference in the more advanced world of technology. And it can also offer like the quality engineer a huge benefit that can be used throughout multiple platforms. So where the developer thinks about the architecture of the product they want to build, a quality engineer thinks about the architecture of what quality tools and processes this product should have in place, creating a perfectly synced development cycle. Thank you.